So hello everyone, my name is Paul Stevens and welcome to this short-term rentals Pitch to Paul webinar, now in its 5th edition, which is sponsored by Price Labs and Hospitable. You've just been watching a preview video to our annual Shorties Awards, so we're delighted to say that we're once again had 400 entries from around the world, and we'd encourage you to book your tickets as soon as possible at the link in the chat. As you can see here on screen, I'm the editor of Short-Term Rentals at International Hospitality Media, and I'm the host for today's session. And before we begin, let's introduce our first webinar series sponsor. This is Price Labs.
Price Labs, a leader in revenue management, is unveiling its breakthrough release. Discover the new hyperlocal pulse dynamic pricing algorithm. By tapping into hyperlocal market trends, it's setting new standards in accurate pricing and response to market changes. With our smart presets, customize our algorithm easily and get personalized guidance. With our desktop app, speed up your workflows and manage multiple listings smoothly from your computers. Experience our award-winning product created by a world-class data science team. With our global reach, anyone, anywhere can use Price Labs. Discover more game-changing updates crafted to propel your short-term rentals to success. Visit pricelabs.co/breakthrough today.
So a big thank you to Price Labs for sponsoring this webinar and our short-term rentals webinar series. Let's also introduce our second sponsor, Hospitable. We've got a video for that.
Our mission is to lead the short-term rental industry by making sure that everybody has a chance of providing a fantastic guest experience. That means helping those hosts, irrespective of the number of properties that they manage, to offer that consistent, personalized guest experience that is going to help those guests to come back to another short-term rental. It should not be complicated to have an infrastructure to run your short-term rentals. It should not be time-consuming. It should be reliable. And that's really one of the things that we're excellent at, I believe, at helping hosts in the short-term rental industry, offering them that reliable service that they can trust so that they can get their time back and offer a better experience to their guests than they would have done otherwise.
So Hospitable is also providing a generous offer of 25% off its platform for 3 months. All you need to do is go on the link on screen or in the chat now. Big thank you to Hospitable and to Price Labs, our webinar sponsors for today. So let's introduce our speaker lineup for today. I'm very, very excited to welcome 3 very innovative startups who we're going to be hearing from very shortly. And we've got our investors and advisors too. I will start, please, with Sam. And if you can just all introduce yourselves very briefly. So Sam, take it away.
Hey, everybody. My name is Sam. I'm the co-founder of Besty. I live here in New York City. Our office is in Manhattan. I've been a property manager for 3 years and previous experience in the kind of software startup space before starting to build as a vendor as well. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sam. Looking forward to hearing your pitch very shortly. Next up, please, Janani, if you can introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Janani Prabhakaran. I run a startup called Unbaggaged, and we are based in Scotland. And yeah, looking forward to today's panel and pitch.
Excellent. And one person who was on the UK's Dragon's Den, the real version, a couple of weeks ago as well. So we're delighted to have you on. And our last startup today, James, please, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm James, co-founder of Sweet Stay Club. Very excited to be here today to present the product that we'll be launching this summer. London-based, extensive experience in the travel industry amongst myself and my co-founder Bernard, and look forward to introducing you all today.
Excellent. Thank you, James. Thank you to all of our startups. Pradip, please, I think you're on now. If you can introduce yourself briefly.
Hi, Pradip Madan, partner with Great North Ventures. We're investors in short-term rental startups. An example being a company called NoiseAware, which detects noise without violating privacy, so that STRs are not, people don't make a mess.
Thank you very much, Pradip. We'll hear more from you shortly as well. And last but by no means least, we have Alessandro.
Hi, everyone. So we are real estate investors, work for a fund called Activum, and we have capital allocated to invest in early stage businesses innovating in the built world. Hospitality definitely takes a big chunk of that. We have like a very broad network of hotels across Europe from the real estate side. So we're investing in early stage businesses, innovating this from a technology perspective.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alessandro. Thank you to all of our panelists today. Very excited to hear from all of you. Got a couple of things to run through quickly. Now, just for the sake of clarity, actually, we must clarify, of course, this isn't the real Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, and the investors or advisors today are under no pressure at all to invest, but they may pursue investment opportunities later if they wish, or they can connect our startups with relevant investors and contacts. In terms of webinar guidelines, you can see on screen, all of the details are going to be posted in the chat. So please do go there if you have any questions to ask any of our innovative startups today or our investors. Each startup is going to pitch one by one today, followed by some questions and feedback from Pradip and Alessandro, our investors/advisors. I might also pitch in a question myself, and a recording will then be sent round to everyone within the next 48 hours. So let's crack on with the pitches. Sam, I'm going to let you take this away, please, and if you could make it clear as well when you want to move on to the next slide.
Will do. All right, let's do it. Hi, everybody. My name is Sam. This is my co-founder, Arlo. Before this, I was a property manager with 36 listings in Canada and in Germany. And Arlo has been a programmer since he was 12, went to Yale for computer science, and is super passionate about AI. So together, we're the founders of Besty. Besty is an AI-powered property management tool that does three things. It automates guest communication, upselling, and tasks. And so our products connect directly into the PMS, takes 2 minutes to go live. And the average user is seeing anywhere between a 5 to 6x cash on cash return within the first month of using us. And in the first 7 months since launching, we've averaged 72% month-over-month revenue growth while being live on only 2 of over the 40 PMSs out there. So 5 minutes isn't enough time to tell you all about the product, so we can just dive in, talk about what got us here and what's next. Next slide, please. I know you've seen it a million times before, especially in the last year. The use cases are obvious, the market is big enough, but what's the actual deal? Like what's actually going on right now? And it's actually very simple. So we've seen this movie before in this industry about 10 years ago with price optimization apps. Next slide, please. Price optimization was once a niche category that now dominates the space, as common as even the PMS softwares themselves. But the only difference between these price apps and these PMSs is that there's like 3 notable price optimization apps, one of which being a sponsor of the show, and 2 of which started by like the same guy. And then when you look at PMSs, next slide, please, there's over 40. So which product line would you rather compete in? Fighting in a tooth and nail in a PMS product, servicing, a lot of the same customers, or connecting to the entire industry simultaneously. So if a few apps that swap around price points can do over $50 million a year in ARR, how much do you think a product can do that's automating 95% of the property management function, right? So now let's talk about the market. I was just speaking with Andrew from Wheelhouse, and he was saying, the STR market is the most misunderstood market in all of real estate. Quoting him, he says it's a niche, but it's a $200 billion a year niche that's professionalizing itself overnight. What is somewhat niche, though, is within this market is the PMS spend, because looking at PMSs as the most prominent software in our industry, I think it's fair to say. Well, in 2023, global PMS spend was about $1 billion a year. For a venture investor, that's probably not an interesting enough market to be in today. Maybe it was 10 years ago. But for us at Besty, that's not one that we really want to compete in, because as you've seen from this slide, it's relatively possible to replicate with enough engineering talent and enough time, whereas trying to build a very robust AI platform today is much harder to compete with. Not to mention that these PMSs can and already have started building their own AI functionality. But to be honest, it's not really a threat to us because they can only compete within their very segmented set of users. Because remember, there's 40 of them all competing for the same customers. Not a single one has a very controlling dominant market share, even 10 years into the industry. Okay, so you get the analogy, price labs, price optimization software, new category, AI. So great, Sam, even if I liked you, why would I invest venture capital into a market where the most mature product is only doing $1 billion a year in revenue? Well, you wouldn't be investing in that. We're going to become the default leader to help manage the $200 billion a year in rental revenue globally. We're going to become the first property manager with 1 million units under management. Similar to a property manager, our market opportunity is 20% of the travel spend. So $40 billion a year, growing 13% year over year for the next decade. Next slide, please. So what's our vision for Besty? We're going to become the default operating system to help property managers automate their entire digital app operation at a fraction of the cost. And B, we're going to help professionalize the other half of this industry, empowering owners that want to get into this market with a fully automated AI software that reduces barriers to entry. And third, and this is our really big piece of the puzzle, is that we're going to connect those new owners to our network of property managers in all the geographies we serve to help them do a lot of the physical stuff that AI at the end of the day just can't do. So we'll have a great network effect of new owners coming into the business, servicing our own customers, and not being like an Uber that completely automates the self-driving for people driving cabs. We're going to help grow those property management businesses. Next slide, please. Our product is loved by our users. 7 months into launching, we have over 100 customers, 63% are inbound, over 100% net retention rate in 7 months. Like I said, revenue is growing off the charts. The only thing that matters right now is distribution. We've done all of this being on 2 of the 40 plus PMSs out there. Our goal is to get to 20 by the end of the year. 62% of our customers are inbound, like I said. So, build it and they will come. Next slide. Besty has a very vibrant community of operators sharing what they love most about the product. Next slide. Besty has been featured on all the top industry podcasts. Next slide. We have over 200 users waiting on each PMS waiting for Besty to continue the integration so we can go live. Here's a screenshot from Uplisting of users on a forum literally asking for Besty to join their PMS. And we've had users take care of their number one nightmare, which is switching PMSs if it means faster access to Besty. Next slide. Our AI autopilot messaging has gone from 500 a week to over 20,000 a week just in 6 months of growing. Our goal is to reach $3 million in ARR by the end of the year, which would mean going from 0 to 3 million in 14 months. And we just got accepted into the Alchemist Accelerator starting in May to help us with that seed round in May. Sorry, I know I'm going over. Thank you for your time.
Wow, thank you so much there, Sam. Lots of information to get through, and yeah, just to kind of sum up. So Besty, you're an AI-powered guest messaging and revenue optimization tool for short-term rental property managers. You also describe yourself as being the first AI property manager. I'm going to get over to the investors and advisors straight away first. Pradip, if I come to you first, any immediate feedback or questions that you've got for Sam that you'd like to hear?
I think, yeah, I mean, Sam did a great job. I am unclear. In the end, you have to start in, kind of one particular place with limited resources. You're talking about, PMS integration across the board, but you must have some value proposition that's getting you all these customers. What is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. They connect with as communicating with guests is a huge pain point at scale. Users can hook up to our app within 2 minutes directly from their PMS. Besty will instantly start responding to all of their guests on autopilot, or it'll generate draft responses for them to approve. They can turn on one of our 4 revenue automation tools, filling gap nights, upselling early check-ins, retargeting past guests, following up on inquiries. All of these automations, they can basically just plug and play and turn on, which actually generates them around 5 times the monthly subscription cost per month on average.
Great, thanks for clarifying.
Same question to Alessandro as well. Any feedback or any questions immediately that you've got?
Absolutely. Thank you. So I have a couple of points. So the first one, It's around, I'm pretty familiar with the space, and one of the core things is the ability to integrate with several PMSs. So that's the way you can manage basically the user journey. How long does it take for you to integrate to a PMS, and how do you do that?
Yeah, so we have a few the easiest way is if they have good API documentation, and that takes us around a month. We've found that because this is such a new industry, the majority of PMSs today don't have the proper endpoints, like actual infrastructure to support third-party AI messaging tools. So we've actually built a few clever workarounds for that, like kind of autonomous agents that you can either add as a coworker or download our Chrome extension, and we can edit it through the DOM. So there's actually a few clever workarounds that we've done because the industry isn't even quite there yet. But it on average
And
takes
how long would that take in that case?
takes a month. And there's also
It's always a month. All right.
Yeah, about a month.
All right. And what are your thoughts around defensibility of your product, especially when it comes to hotel guest management? I've seen several solutions. Like, I know you're only focused on STRs, but what is your core differentiator? Why wouldn't they be able to expand there? Because the use case is pretty similar, right? So they integrate perhaps with bigger PMSs, call them like Oracle, Protel, or whoever else. But like, what makes you defensible compared to other players in the market that raised already a big chunk of money as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a brand new market. Like I like making the analogy to price optimization or to PMSs. There's no real like secret answer to this at this stage. It's all about distribution. It's all about customer retention. That's like our number one focus, like getting them in the door and making sure they don't leave. I think that it's too hard to predict the capabilities of what AI is going to be capable of. We know it's a big enough market. What matters right now is just being everywhere. I'm not necessarily worried about the PMSs themselves replicating it for the reasons I mentioned in my pitch. I think that the overarching vision of being there, I think it's true that there's going to be a future where an AI engine is capable of doing a lot of these things that are currently relied on by humans, and how it all plays out. I think all we can control right now is our distribution and making customers happy, and that it's a big market. We don't have the sophistication or maturity in our product today to say exactly how it's going to play out as the winner take all at this moment.
Fantastic, thank you.
All right.
Before we come back to Pradip and Alessandro, Sam, we've got a quick question from me actually, and it's a similar one to what Alessandro just asked. But of all the AI solutions that we see emerging out there as well, why do you think someone should choose Besty right now?
Yeah, a great question. I think that our customer focus has been extraordinarily zeroed in on the largest kind of enterprise users. So focusing from the get-go, even being a 6-month-old company, working with users that have over 1,000 listings. And that's our primary feedback loop as far as improving the product. Our rationale is that if we can make it work at enterprise grade off the bat, that means everybody in the ecosystem, whether you have 2 or 3 or 4 listings, you're going to get the same kind of quality of product and automations that people much more mature in their business cycle in this industry have gotten at their fingertips. So I think people can expect extremely high quality responses, extremely high ROI on our revenue automations, and then of course a very engaged support team that's always there to answer their questions. That's why I would choose us. And it takes 2 minutes to set up, so it's easy to try it for yourself.
Excellent, thank you, Sam. I'll turn back to Pradip. You've heard some of the questions and answers there, Pradip. Have you got any specific advice or extra feedback for Sam as well?
Actually, I'm still a little bit sort of puzzled. What exactly are you doing in terms of building a moat around your the early adoption that you're getting? And if my advice would be, it's obvious. I mean, if you are not building one and your idea is to simply achieve market leadership and stay ahead, then that's a pretty dicey kind of value proposition, because you could have competition from multiple sources in a matter of months. I mean, the rate at which innovation in AI-enabled services is happening, that can easily happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. There's any new big market, there's going to be a lot of competitors, just like any other market. We have some things that obviously are a little bit more put together as far as our long-term moat and vision, not necessarily things I would share on broadcast, but I completely agree with you. Having a long-term moat, aside from just being the best product, is obviously not enough. But I think the focus of this is around distribution, getting it out there. The fact that every single one of our customers were the first time they've even experimented with this type of category, and it's a new category. So that doesn't change. Our vision from 3 to 5 years from now, we still have to get to that, level of traction and retention from our customers. Regardless of our vision, we're going to need that traction. So yeah, I guess it's just a part of the process.
And
Okay.
same question there to Alessandro as well. Alessandro, any specific feedback and advice that you'd like to give Sam, please?
Not really. I think like one of the core issues that I had through going by your presentation was basically trying to understand what's the core problem you're trying to address. Is this more about like trying to increase, for example, direct bookings, or it's trying to increase upselling opportunities, or you're trying to make internal operations smoother for STR? So what exactly are you targeting?
Well, what you just described is all the role of a property manager, right? They do more than 3 things. They do 20 things. So one by one, we're taking every single function of the property manager and automating it. So there's no one thing that we do. There's not one thing that a property manager does. So we're doing those things one by one to the point where the entire role of the property manager is going to be automated, which unlocks an entire new market of the way people have their properties professionally managed. Today, it's a default that you're going to pay somebody 25% of every dollar you earn as an asset owner. 10 years from now, that's just simply not going to be the case. Software is going to be capable of doing that. So we're working towards that, where LLMs are going to be capable of doing every single thing a property manager can do.
Was there something you wanted to add to that, Alessandro, or happy?
No, it's fine.
And Sam, just quickly from me before we go on to our next startup, what's kind of the ambition for Besty now?
Yeah, I mean, our vision and ambition is to grow this thing absolutely as big as possible. We're the right team building this at the right time. We're incredibly passionate about the space. We think there's a massive opportunity here. And so as big as possible, as fast as possible.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sam. Very, very slick presentation. And thank you to Pradip and Alessandro for your questions and feedback for our investors. So thank you very much, Sam. And we're going to move on now to our next startup, and that is Janani from Unbaggaged. So we've got your slides up, and Janani, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Thank you, Paul. Hi, everyone. Once again, it's Janani. I'm the founder of Unbaggaged, and we are on a mission to promote hassle-free and hands-free travel. Next slide, please. I love traveling, and on one of my trips to London, I checked it off my Airbnb with a large itinerary ahead, plenty of bags, and nowhere to put them. And long story short, I ended up missing my flight back home because I had to go to the location, retrieve my bag, and then take a further trip to the airport. And I'm not alone on this. Over 30% of travelers staying at short-term rentals face difficulties about where to store their bags. Next slide, please. And so I came up with Unbaggaged. Unbaggaged is an on-demand luggage storage platform that picks up, stores, and returns travelers' bags anytime you want in a city. Simply put, we are Uber for your bags. Next slide, please. So how does it work is simply go onto our website and input where, when, and how many bags need to be picked up and stored. And our network of storage and transportation partners do the rest of the work. It's easy to customize your booking. You can book in advance or add passenger destination. You get live tracking once you have made a booking. It's user-friendly, and we also operate 24/7, 365 days throughout the year. Next slide, please. So we charge about £12.50 per bag per day. And on average, we make on average booking price is somewhere between £80 to £200. And our net profit is 25%. Next slide, please. So our customer profile are guests who are visiting a city as two or more, as a group of people with two or more bags. The primary goal of the travel is, is a leisure trip to just go around and visit tourist places. And the main point is that they stay at short-term rental properties due to lack of luggage storage options there. And currently we operate in Edinburgh, which is the second most visited city in UK. Next slide, please. So our competition lies in two spheres. One is the regular luggage storage networks that you'll find in airports and bus stations and train stations. There's a weight size limitation. They do not provide transportation and also don't operate 24/7. And on the other hand, you have the infant luggage storage networks who use convenience stores to store bags. Again, the transportation element is lacking. And also there's a weight and size capacity limitation there. You also have remote check-in services who pick up your bags and check in for you at the airport. The main constraint of these services is that the scalability is limited and the offering is also very limited. With Unbaggaged, we offer transportation. This includes for bags and also passengers, providing that seamless service from one end to another. There is no weight size limitation. We have offered 24/7 customer support, and there is high level of security, meaning the CCTV and bags that are tracked at every instant of handover. And most important of all, it's convenient for any traveler to use and save about 2 hours of their day from arrival to departure. Next slide, please. So far, since our launch in 2021, we have stored 2,000 plus bags and have seen 250% year-on-year sales growth. We primarily operate in Edinburgh and Glasgow, but are expanding to Manchester, Birmingham, and London in the next 12 months. 80% of our bookings come from affiliates who are the short-term rentals who promote our service. So we have over 500 plus of them promoting us in Edinburgh and Glasgow. And the average booking is somewhere between 150 for four bags and for 3 days of storage. Like Paul mentioned in the introduction, we were featured in Dragon's Den 2024 episode, and I've also won a couple of awards in Scotland competitions like Scottish Edge, and I've been featured in Telegraph and Herald as well. Next slide, please. So our team, I started Unbaggaged right after graduation. My background lies in entrepreneurship. And in terms of hospitality, we have someone who has had 20 years of experience working as a sales director for Apex, and also an recently exited travel tech founder who did called Julie Grieve with Triton. And on the tech front, we have a developer as well, and also head of marketing. So we are a diverse team with a group of 6 people working on this project. Next slide, please. So currently we're raising an investment of 300K. Since our Dragon's Den episode, we have had quite a lot of interest, but we're still filtering it out. But if anyone's still interested, we would, our round is still not closed. And the 300K would go towards expanding our team and moving into London is the primary goal for the funding. Next slide, please. So that's pretty much a roadmap of how we will be using our funds, launching into Birmingham and Manchester, expanding our team, and working on our product and service development that is going from an MVP to a fully functional website, and hitting our milestone of receiving 20,000 users by the end of it. Any help in this funding round or any feedback from this session would be really grateful, would be really helpful, and it would take the baggage off my shoulders. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Janani. Nice way to finish there as well. So I'll quickly just give it a quick summary of Unbaggaged. So you're currently available in Edinburgh and Glasgow predominantly, and you're expanding into the UK. You're a luggage storage startup that's offering a service in which you collect, store and drop off luggage at any place or time. And of course, you appeared on the British version of Dragon's Den earlier this year. So I'm going to get straight to the investors and the advisors, because that's who you really want to hear from. Pradip, first, any questions or anything you've got for Janani, please?
So my question and my sort of suggestion would be, so my question is, you said, I think, that your profit margin is 25%. On the P&L, margin, the word margin shows up in many places. Is this gross margin, operating margin, net income? Could you please clarify?
Yeah, sure. So it's the net income that we are talking about here.
25% net income before tax or after tax?
So it's before tax at the moment.
Okay, that's pretty impressive. So I don't have a follow-on suggestion on that. So I'll pause there. I do have a couple of other questions.
Oh, wait,
I'll come back.
Oh, well, okay, we'll go on to Alessandro, please, first. And Alessandro, any questions?
I haven't seen that slide, to be honest, because I think I have some internet connection problems. However, one of my core questions here is, like, since you're trying to build ultimately a marketplace, is how you're thinking about the unit economics of this business, right? Because apart from your take on what you're actually transacting, which in this case is the storage of the luggage, you need as well to build a bench of storages and locations that store these luggages, but on the other hand as well, of partners that deliver these luggages in location. So that's the supply part that you're building. And on top of that, you will need to build as well the demand side, so the consumer. So I'd love to understand a little bit more how you're thinking about the unit economics of this model.
Yeah, absolutely. So our model is completely decentralized, meaning we don't own the storage or the taxis or the transportation element of it. So it's outsourced. And what we do is we take it's primarily like a marketplace where drivers and storage partners come together and the travelers come and book in, and all we do is act as a mediator, and we take about 6% on the transport costs, and £3 of the £12.50 that we charge per bag is given to the storage person as a commission. And we also have a fixed fee of £2.50 for the administration with maintenance that we add on top of it. So that's how we sort of do the margin. So we don't handle any of the transportation or the storage ourselves. It's completely outsourced.
All right, but these numbers that you've just mentioned are your top line numbers, right? So that's, you can call it like take rate or net revenue, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right, but like, how does this play in the context of trying to actually look at this from a holistic perspective and see what's the unit level cost that you've incurred in order to create like your supply on one hand, so the acquisition of drivers as well as of storages, and all of your demand as well, right? So the supply cost and the customer acquisition cost, how do they play together with your margin? And trying to understand a little bit the economics of the model. So how many, what's the minimal repeat times, for example, for this customer to transact in your platform to make the transaction, the unit profitable. So all of these sort of metrics are very important. We're considering a model that is based on transaction and acts like a marketplace. So the more you create these dense network effects, the more these metrics are going to become more efficient and are going to give more value to your marketplace.
Right. Okay. So at the moment, what we do is we don't really market sort of with Google or any such things. What we use is we just use short-term rentals, and they promote our service because they don't have luggage storage themselves, so they're happy to promote our service, and we're sort of integrated with them. So there's, because I also mentioned in our pitch that 80% of our bookings come through them. So we don't essentially spend much on the marketing. And in terms of unit economics, including the storage and the transportation, it costs £5.50 for both of it combined together. I understand your point where obviously we are at the moment, the bookings are quite small scale, that it's $5.50. But when we get to the point where we are transacting over 1,000 bags or 2,000 bags, the economies of scale will hit in, and it'll start to drop down to £3.50. for both collection and transportation of the bags.
Thank you, Alessandro. We'll head back to you very shortly. First, Janani, I want to ask you a question as well. And you've talked about how you're expanding into London, Manchester, Birmingham. What are kind of the ultimate goals to grow Unbaggaged, and how would you ultimately use that money moving forward?
So our ultimate vision is to be integrated with booking platforms like Skyscanner, Expedia, Airbnb. So that's our goal. Because when you're booking a trip, you would think about car rentals, you would think about food, you would think about, so many things, but not your bags. So when there's an ad, click on Unbaggaged button, it makes it so much more seamless. So that's our goal. And the main reason we want to go into London primarily is because they receive guests and travelers throughout the year. And being in such a big tourist destination would really give us that 20,000 milestone that I spoke about earlier as well. And of course, expanding to other cities in UK and furthermore to Europe and US is also where we're heading towards.
Thank you very much, Janani. Pradip, back to you. I think you had some more questions, and also if you've got any particular specific feedback for Janani.
Yeah, one suggestion. In terms of further margin expansion, have you thought about sort of value-added services? For example, whenever I book my flight ticket at the bottom, the question whether I want to insure my trip, and simply, let's say, waste $25 is presented to me, and many times I succumb. If you were to offer some sort of insurance and your loss ratio is small, you could be potentially adding some significant margin. Any thoughts along those lines?
Yeah, so we have had thoughts around that as well. But again, for us to implement the insurance part and various other room diversification of the services, we need to hit a bigger volume than what we are doing right now. But it's also understandable that we are in just 2 cities, and as we scale, we can definitely explore the insurance and other plans as well.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Alessandro as
Thank
well.
you.
Any specific advice you'd like to give Janani based on that pitch?
Yeah, so as I was mentioning earlier, for me, it's important to understand the unit economics here and how they play together, especially as you think to expand as well to new cities. What's the marginal cost of opening a new city, and what's the sort of capital injection that you need in order to do that? Because you would need to create basically a network of STRz on one hand. And again, I want to repeat myself, but then you need to create a network of storage businesses, and on top of that, of drivers as well, right? Or logistics service companies. So it's very complicated, and it'd be great to get like a clear overview on how you're thinking about these unit economics playing out.
Hello.
Yeah, there we are. Did you hear that, Janani?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I kind of broke off, but yes, I think as we scale, the one thing that we have found it challenging is that although we have a very strong transportation element, especially in the UK, we've got Eagle Couriers who are doing the transportation for us, over 70,000 fleets running around UK. But the short-term rentals has been a bit of word of mouth for us. For example, if someone's operating in Scotland, most of the time they also have bases in London and Manchester. So it kind of sort of has a domino effect. But the challenge has been to maintain that relationship, having such a small team, especially at the stage we're all wearing multiple hats. And that's why the funding would really help us get one business development person for each 2 city that we are in, so that it's all handled with in a more consistent way.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Janani, and thank you, Pradip and Alessandro, for your questions and very useful feedback. We have had a question from Amit Green, and Janani, I'd ask if you could possibly write your answer in the comment section for Amit. So the question, just for everyone's benefit, is can I ask how much customers are spending on short-term rentals if the storage cost is averaging £150 to £200 on average? So Janani, if you'd like to put your answer in the chat, and hopefully we'll be able to answer Amit's question. We've now moved on to, so thank you first to Janani. We're going to move on to our third and final startup of the day. James, you've been very patient. Please introduce Sweet Stay Club for us.
Thanks, Paul. So guys, I'm James from Sweet Stay Club. Pleasure to be able to introduce the concept to you today. If you could flip to the next slide. Sweet Stay Club is a B2C marketplace that connects, there we go, B2C marketplace that's launching this summer that connects providers of premium rooms, suites and residences with consumers, predominantly leisure consumers, who are looking for the best value for what they're prepared to spend. In terms of what that looks like, it's a platform that will be open for anybody to access. So people will be able to come, they will be able to search through our inventory, they'll be able to be inspired by what we're offering. But if they actually want to see pricing and they want to be able to make a booking, they need to become a member of Sweet Stay Club. This enables us to be able to offer premium accommodation at a discounted rate and surpass any issues that might exist with parity in the market with pricing. Next slide, please. In addition to that, our members will also have the option to be able to subscribe to become Elevate Access members. What is this? Well, aside from an additional revenue stream for us as a business, it provides some additional benefits for members who become subscribers. The initial opening rate will be £100 per year to subscribe, and there are two key benefits that will be available from launch or from day one. One of those will be for every booking you make as a subscriber, we will give you a 5% credit towards future bookings made with Sweet Stay Club. That's only realized after you've done your first stay. In addition, something which we're asking our property partners to fund is an in-house credit or an in-house spend that's available on property to the equivalent of £30 minimum per night. The aim of structuring it this way is that £100 subscription becomes a bit of a no-brainer from a consumer perspective. If you're staying for a week, you're staying in a suite, you're going to be getting 5% of that towards your next booking. You're going to be getting £30 a night credit. That £100 is a small price to pay for the reward that you will get in exchange. It also gives us, aside from that additional revenue stream, a great opportunity to re-engage or retain that customer through further comms in a slightly different way to our regular member base. Next slide, please. So where did this concept come from? Well, there's a problem that exists on both sides of the coin in the market today with regards to premium rooms and suites. Oh, I think we've still got some display issues, Paul, but I'll power through. Premium rooms, that's all right. Premium category rooms tend to be either an underutilized asset for accommodation providers, so they're left empty, or they're an under-monetized asset. So what happens is those rooms might be occupied, but they're usually occupied through either loyalty club or overselling on the lowest inventory type and then upgraded internally. This exists because there's no dedicated sales and marketing channel today for premium rooms and suites. The biggest sellers of accommodation, if you consider Expedia and Booking to be amongst those, their business model focuses on a lowest common denominator approach. They offer the lowest room type, the lowest board basis, the lowest price point, and they focus on selling volume. So hoteliers really struggle to be able to showcase the inventory that they have. The content that accompanies these is terrible, and they struggle to sell them. Next slide, please. A similar problem exists from a consumer perspective, especially for leisure travel customers or leisure travelers. They find it really difficult to understand the value proposition of premium rooms and suites on platforms that exist today. They're quite often presented at the very bottom of a long list. The content approach is really poor, so you'll quite often see the same kind of selection of images. They also quite often don't understand the value proposition of booking some of these rooms or room categories, especially when it comes to leisure properties. It's not unusual to be able to have access to additional benefits, additional facilities if you're staying in a premium room category. But from a consumer perspective, this just isn't conveyed properly. Next slide, please. We believe that there's a real kind of win-win situation for both accommodation providers and for travelers when they get to showcase and to actually book and stay in premium room categories. From an accommodation provider's perspective, not only is that revenue uplift, but actually what you're also creating is better reviews, better guest experience. You've got the halo effect that goes with that. And then from the customer's perspective, all of those things align to actually providing a better experience, and they become advocates for your brand and your product. Next slide, please. Sweet Stay Club is the kind of perfect platform for this. And ultimately what it comes down to is that we're putting the right product in front of the right audience in the right way. And when I say the right way, if you can move on to the next slide, what we're focused on building is a curated collection of properties. So upper upscale properties, 4 or 5-star particularly. There'll be a room first approach to the UX. After all, that's the reason that people are coming to us, Sweet Stay Club. So it makes it the right thing to do for us to put the room at front and center of that user journey. We are taking a content-rich approach towards the way that we showcase our product. One of the things we're particularly keen on looking at the moment is video and the ability to produce quality video at scale and offer that as part of that UX experience. We've got offerings of a discount, so a great kind of value proposition for customers, and also the option to subscribe and further deepen that relationship. Next slide, please. We've spent a decent amount of time over the last 12 months really getting validation for this concept. You can probably see some of it on here, I hope, that we've got a real kind of spread of what I would say is leisure plus city properties, a real global spread in terms of interest. And a lot of these partners have actually signed group level agreements. You've got Barcello in there. You've got Park Plaza in there. That have really kind of helped us in our way in terms of honing the proposition, plus also kind of contributing towards that kind of opportunity to raise investment. Next slide, please. We've also done a considerable amount of work on validating this from a consumer perspective. The appeal is quite broad, right? It's anybody who travels for leisure that is a value-driven customer rather than a purely price-driven customer. I think there are a lot of different use cases here, but the one I'd probably hone in on is the use case for families. Now, Bernard, my co-founder, this particularly hits home at him. He's got 2 young children, and it's a challenge to be able to find room inventory that showcases what you're actually getting for your money, whether that be in terms of size, whether that be in terms of layout, the ability to visualize it. It's a challenge, particularly for families. And that's just one of the use cases that we've identified as an opportunity for Sweet Stay Club. But don't get me wrong, the appeal is broad. Anybody who travels for leisure that wants the best experience possible for the amount that they're prepared to pay. Next slide, please. Now, we're not alone in the travel club space. There's a couple on here. You've got Voyage Privé, very close to my heart and Bernard's heart. That's actually where we met. We both worked there and spent a stint there in 2015. Secret Escapes, another flash sale model. Key differentiator for us, we are an always on concept. We're not a flash sale proposition. The other one that we picked out here is Smith, a curated collection of properties, typically higher end focus. But again, I think the key differentiator for us is really that focus on premium room categories. and the markets that we appeal to, as well as us taking a consistent approach towards cancellation and payment conditions. I think it's another minefield that we've created for consumers is the complexity of conditions that go with room sales. So one of the things that we'll be promoting and actively contracting with our partners is a more consistent approach towards the terms that we offer customers and the terms on which we work with our partners to simplify that whole customer and supplier journey. Next slide, please. So on this slide, there's some lovely graphs on here, but I think the thing I want to focus on is that there are 4 key revenue streams from day one for Sweet Stay Club. We've got commission on room sales, and we're forecasting a 17% average margin. We've got our Elevate Access subscription, which is £100 per year per subscriber. Actually costs us nothing until somebody makes their second booking with us, and that's a margin impact. So a great opportunity to work on brand partnerships for growing that member base, for example. We've got property fees, so a small fee, less than the value of one room night per property. That covers the cost of connectivity. So this is going to be a connected model, dynamic distribution for availability, pricing, and booking. It covers the cost of VCC, so virtual credit card payments, to be able to facilitate smooth payment for our providers. The content creation, I mentioned content rich, I mentioned video first. It goes towards producing standout content for every partner that we're working with. Also available from day one, ancillary sales. So initially, third-party affiliates for functional elements that people need as part of their travel journey, whether that be airport transfers, whether that be experiences and activities, things that are really simple for us to build into that CRM journey, but are just a kind of silent revenue stream working in the background and potentially bringing that in-house if we see decent enough traction and it makes commercial sense to do so. Next slide, please. So in terms of where we are today, we actively started fundraising in November last year. Our aim was to raise 300K for a 20% stake in the business. The initial take-up has been strong. We set ourselves a go point of 200,000, and by go point, that was the point at which we could start committing to building. So UX design, front end, back end build, start committing to staff, and we reached that towards the end of February. So March has been a very busy month for us. We still have some space in that first round and a limited amount of SCIS if there's any interested parties in the room. The aim for us is to really prove out product market fit in year one, and that 300,000 will give us more than a 12-month runway, subject to kind of meeting some very conservative forecast estimates. Year two, we would like to do an additional raise. The aim for that would be to do 2 things. One, further invest in marketing for acquisition. We're under no illusion that because it's a B2C marketplace, acquisition is going to be our biggest challenge and it's going to be an expense for us. The other thing we'd like to do is to start looking at expansion into Northern European markets. It makes sense in terms of travel patterns. You know, the travel corridors for Northern Europe are not dissimilar to what they are for the UK. So seasonality, again, goes side by side with that. There are also regions with high disposable income, and we believe that this concept would work well in those markets. So that's where we are today. Next slide, please.
James, just shall we move on to a couple of questions? I know Alessandro's got to go in a couple of minutes. We've got your team up on screen, and
I was just going to say we've got a team of myself and Bernard, co-founder. We've got a series of advisors from industry, director of marketing at TripAdvisor, chief growth at Profit Room. We've just done our first 2 hires as well in terms of product and senior marketing with a hefty focus on growth. The last thing I was going to say was that the Sweet Stay Club website is now live. You can join the waitlist. So if you haven't already, I would strongly encourage you to do so. And Paul, I'm sorry I went over my 5 minutes.
It's absolutely okay. Lots of information there. We're really excited to see the launch this summer. So I'll make sure, Alessandro, I know you've got to leave in just a couple of minutes. So any feedback or questions that you've got immediately for James?
Hi, James. Thank you for this speech. So my first question comes from a value proposition perspective. So you're targeting consumers, but it seems to be as well as a distribution channel for premium rooms of properties, right? So what is the core driver of your products, or why would I want to join your platform?
As a consumer or as a
As a consumer?
As a consumer. So if you're a leisure traveler, if you're not somebody who wants to just stay in the lowest room type and pay the lowest possible price, then you're not our customer. Sorry, if you're somebody who wants the lowest room type, the lowest price point, you're not our customer. If you're a leisure traveler who's looking for the best experience that they can get for also the best value that they can have on the market, then we're the platform to come to. We'll have premium rooms, suites, residences available, average 20% minimum discount, plus additional benefits available as well. So market leading, great hotels, curated selection in key destinations. So it's a great platform for inspiration and for booking and making a great saving in the meantime.
Right. And on the other side, why would hotels or STRs agree on such big discounts?
I think because of the fact that these rooms and suites are quite often left empty. You know, the average occupancy for premium room categories for hotels in London, for example, is quite often around the 30% mark. So you're talking about a massively underutilized asset. And when we've been talking to hotel groups, and this is hotel groups in city locations, in leisure destinations, summer season, winter season, they all tell us the same thing, that they love the concept because it's a struggle that they have to be able to position and sell into those categories of inventory. Your OTAs are not bothered about whether they sell premium room categories because it doesn't align with their business model. Tour operators quite often contract the lowest room categories because it gives them the keenest edge price point when it comes to brochure sales and actually selling through their vertically integrated models. You might get some exposure and production from luxury travel agents, but they don't have the footprint to be able to deliver the volume that's going to be needed. So hotels have a problem in terms of marketing and selling premium room categories. And I think we're the best solution that's coming for them to do that.
Fantastic.
All right, thank you.
Alessandro, I know you've got to go, so thank you for your questions, and thank you as well, actually, James, for soldiering on whilst we had a few slight technical issues. We'll make sure
it doesn't look as pretty as it should have done.
we'll make sure that all of the presentations go through to clearly to all attendees and our investors today. Fradit, please, any questions or feedback you've got for James?
Given limited time, I'll just sort of make a comment. James, I love businesses that focus on premium customers. So that's kind of my single comment. And Janani, if you want to offer your services to James' company, charge a premium. That's my recommendation to you. So that's all.
I love that.
Let's talk later, James.
Great job, everybody.
That's what we like to hear. Thank you, everyone, for taking part today as well. We have got a quick poll as well just before we head off, and I think we can get this up now. We've got a question we've also put this up on LinkedIn as well today. So the question is, in your opinion, which of these startups has the biggest market opportunity and maybe that you would invest into? So we'll keep this up just for a couple of seconds, and it's purely for fun. There's no competitive element to it. I want to say a big thank you, of course, to all of our contributors, to Sam, Janani, to James, to Pradip and Alessandro. We're very grateful for your time on our 5th pitch to pool today, and we'll soon be looking for more startups to pitch as well. So if you'd like to take part in the next pitch to pool, then please do get in touch with me. Contact details are in the chat as well if you'd like to feature in the next edition. So we can see there are some results up on screen at the moment. I think on the LinkedIn poll that I did earlier, it came out as AI-powered guest messaging came out at 53%, on-demand luggage storage at 40%, and premium room sales channel, which, to be honest, for James, it was quite hard to fit into a 30-character limit anyway. But 3 fantastic businesses, all doing very innovative things as well. And we really hope that we can support you with your funding journeys. And yes, so we've got a couple of slides quickly to run through before we conclude, just a couple of minutes. So we are back on Thursday, the 11th of April for a webinar in partnership with They Came My Way, entitled When the Revenue Rubber Meets the Road, Finding Ways to Save in 2024. That's quite hard to say, actually. But we have a fully confirmed panel, and the sign-up link is in the chat. So we'd love to see you there. As mentioned before, tickets are now on sale for the 2024 Shorties Awards on Tuesday, the 23rd of April. It's an in-person awards ceremony in London, and some of our speakers today have already entered. It's a fantastic night of celebration every year and lots of fun, so we hope to see you there. The link to the tickets is in the chat, and we will be announcing the shortlist very soon. For opportunities to work with us, please do contact my colleague Jordan, whose details are on the screen. It's a fantastic time to be working with us, so why not get involved as an award sponsor as well. We're going to keep the session open for just another 2 minutes. There's been a lot of information coming through in the chat, so if you want to jot down any details, if you want to ask any of our panelists a question, then you can. Big thank you to Price Labs and Hospitable for sponsoring. Big thank you to all of our excellent speakers today. And of course, to everyone for tuning in, thank you. And we'll see you all again very soon. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, we are International Hospitality Media, or IHM for short. IHM is the #1 brand to engage with decision makers in hospitality and real estate. Our 4 multimedia brands lead their respective sectors with breaking news, comments, trends, and opinion across a variety of multimedia solutions. We provide an inspirational community to connect people through world-class events, webinars, podcasts, award schemes, and much more. But let us share our story of who we are and what we do. Over 10 years ago, Piers & George had a light bulb moment to provide expert opinion, comments, and low-cost digital content. And so they went on a journey over the past decade, creating media platforms to serve the hospitality and real estate industries. We now have an engaged audience with a reach of over 60,000 monthly visitors across our website, 48,000 of our email database across all the sectors, and over 67,000 across our social channels. Everything we do believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. We make things simple and very easy to work with us. And we're a friendly bunch too. We offer creative solutions to help you achieve your business goals. Read, watch, listen, meet with IHM. Contact us for a chat today. Just look at some of the brands we have worked with recently.